are. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Thedi Georgi. I'm a dermatology specialist at NMC Specialty Hospital, Ulnada. And for today's topic, I've been asked to give a little small talk, if you may, about ultraviolet safety and sun protection. Just to make sure, is everyone on board? Can you guys hear me? Can I check with the organizer? Can everyone hear me? Is the voice okay
Yes,
and the screen
doctor.
shared?
Yes,
Everything is
doctor. We
fine?
can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, let's hit the ground running then. So, what is the objective of understanding today's topic? We need to understand the risks of sun exposure and the absence of proper sun protection. We need to understand what is UV light that we keep seeing on sunscreen bottles and hear a lot of doctors talking about and a lot of influencers talking about. What is SPF and what does it stand for? And how to properly protect ourselves. The risks of sun exposure and absence of proper protection. The cumulative exposure to UV, which means ultraviolet rays and visible light radiation, is a well-established driver of sun-related skin damage that contributes to carcinogenesis, which means the cause of cancer. It also contributes to photoaging, as well as pigmentary disorders. Lifetime cumulative sun exposure contributes to skin cancer risk. Intense sun exposure during childhood poses a particularly high risk for melanoma, as this period represents a critical window of susceptibility to the long-term harmful effects of UV radiation. What is UV radiation? As we mentioned, UV stands for ultraviolet. Ultraviolet radiation is a form of invisible, non-ionizing energy that is emitted primarily by the sun and sometimes artificial sources like tanning beds. Ultraviolet radiation features wavelengths shorter than visible light. Usually visible light runs from 400 to 700 nanometers. Ultraviolet light is categorized into ultraviolet light C, ultraviolet light B, and ultraviolet light A. The ozone layer almost protects us entirely from ultraviolet light C. So you don't have to worry about that. And if you will notice, you will always find that sunscreens always run with ultraviolet A and ultraviolet B protection. C is not mentioned because, as I've mentioned earlier, the ozone layer thankfully protects against the very harmful ultraviolet C radiation. So ultraviolet radiation significantly impacts the skin, as we mentioned, causing aging, causing sunburns, precancerous and cancerous lesions, along with immunosuppression or suppression of your immunity. As I mentioned, there are three types of radiation: ultraviolet C, ultraviolet B, and ultraviolet A. And as I mentioned, the ozone layer absorbs 100% of ultraviolet C, but 90% of ultraviolet B tends to escape. It protects us, and only 10% tends to reach us, and only a minimal amount of ultraviolet A reaches us. Ultraviolet A is associated with aging and pigmentation because it tends to penetrate much deeper into the skin layer and produce free radical oxygen species that indirectly damage our DNA. In contrast, ultraviolet B tends to be more superficial, so it causes more sunburns and DNA strand breaks, leading to non-melanoma skin cancers. What is photoprotection? From the word photo and protection, photo means light, so it's basically light protection. This includes sunscreen, which consists of physical barriers that reflect and scatter light, along with chemical barriers that absorb light. There are two types of sunscreens, which we will get into: chemical sunscreens and physical sunscreens. Chemical sunscreens are known as organic sunscreens. They allow the high energy ultraviolet rays to be absorbed, causing the molecule to become excited. And they consist of UVA and UVB blockers. UVB filters absorb the entire spectrum of the UVB radiation, which runs from 290 to 320 nanometers. In contrast, ultraviolet A filters do not cover the entire spectrum of the UVA radiation because it's divided. Let's not get into the nitty-gritty of it, but UVA is divided into UVA1 and UVA2. Broad spectrum sunscreens absorb the UV radiation from both UVA and UVB. Everyday sun exposure. I get a lot of patients that come into my clinic and they say, "Oh, doctor, I'm never in the sun. I'm barely exposed to the sun. I only get from my car to my garage, or from my car to my job, and or from my car to my home, and I'm barely exposed to the sun." But it's actually, as we've mentioned, cumulative chronic sun exposure. It's the little amounts that you get exposed to the sun here and there that accumulate throughout your life to the chronic photoaging process and the damage caused by the sun. Everyday sun exposure, we run the risk of, like, if we're walking outdoors, or if we're doing beach activities, or if we're cycling or exercising in the sun, or if we're walking in parks or gardens or open spaces. All of those things are everyday sun exposures. And even though you might not be fully staying on the beach and getting, fried or tanned by the sun, if you are just like doing those little activities in the sun without proper sun protection, that will add up. Bit by bit, it tends to add up and cause the chronic photoaging and cause the chronic sun damage that can lead to other problems later on in life. Simple ways to stay protected is to properly apply sunscreen, wear a hat, use sunglasses, and always choose protective clothing. Now, what is SPF? SPF stands for Sun Protection Factor. SPF is a measure of how much solar energy, usually UV radiation, is required to produce a minimal amount of reaction on your skin, usually sunburn, when it is protected by a barrier. It means how much amount of time is needed for my skin to produce sunburn if I put a sunscreen on top of it. So usually sunscreens, you will find it will say SPF 15, SPF 30, and SPF 50. Always go for the higher. Like SPF 50 is like from 30 to 50, that's your best shot. That's your best shot to properly select a sunscreen, because it protects you even more from the harmful rays. Like SPF 30 protects you at 97% from the UV radiation. 50 runs at 98%. What are the types of sunscreens? Sunscreens could be organic or chemical, as we mentioned, or inorganic or physical. Chemical or organic sunscreens contain filters that absorb the ultraviolet radiation before the skin does and convert it to thermal energy, which is then released from the skin. Whereas inorganic or physical sunscreens protect the skin by absorbing the ultraviolet radiation, but they also reflect visible light, which give them a more apparent appearance when they are applied. Like inorganic or physical sunscreens tend to leave a whitish hue on your skin, whereas organic or chemical sunscreens tend to blend in. They're like invisible. They're not like, they're easily absorbed by your skin, unless they are tinted or have like added tint to make them blend easier with your skin if you're more melanated than others. How to properly apply sunscreen. Sunscreen should be applied topically on the skin. A liberal uniform amount, 30 ml per body application, should be applied at least 15 to 30 minutes before sun exposure and reapplied every 2 hours. Also should be reapplied more if you're sweating or swimming or exercising or profusely losing the applied sunscreen from your skin to maintain the protection throughout the time you are spending in the sun. Sun-safe outdoor habits must include always looking for shade. Drink enough water. Keep sun protection nearby by wearing hats or using umbrellas, and always plan your outdoor time wisely. Stay away from the high time, high time exposure to the sun, like from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's like the high time of where the sun is really acute and very aggressive. Common sun protection mistakes is by forgetting your sunscreen, by staying too long in direct sun, and ignoring to stay in the shade or hydrating or keeping proper sunglasses on. This talk is over now, but I want you guys to take home simple messages: how to properly protect your skin, how to constantly stay hydrated, how to always wear proper sun protection, and how to enjoy the outdoors wisely. Just because I'm applying sunscreen and just because I'm looking for the shade does not mean that I cannot enjoy the outdoors. I can enjoy the outdoors, but I can plan my time wisely. I shouldn't go outside when the sun is at its peak strength. I shouldn't always remain in the sun and not look for shade. I should always remain hydrated. I should always put on my sunscreen appropriately and choose the appropriate sunscreen for myself and for my family, and not forget myself and fry in the sun. And that is pretty much it. I like to keep it short and sweet. Thank you guys so very much for having me. Stay hydrated, stay protected. Have a wonderful day. It's been a pleasure.